My mother abandoned me, so I decided to expose her deceit to her wealthy ex-boyfriend, ultimately getting the last laugh. Allow me to share my story. I'm a 16-year-old girl who has been living with my 38-year-old mother since I was 13, ever since my father passed away. My parents were never married, but they had come to a mutual agreement regarding my upbringing. I would spend half of each month with my dad and the other half with my mom. This arrangement worked well, allowing me to maintain a strong relationship with both of them. My dad never entered into another serious relationship after my mom. If he did date, he kept it discreet, and I was blissfully unaware. He was devoted to me, and I always felt cherished in his presence. My mother, on the other hand, seemed to have a revolving door of boyfriends, introducing a new one every 3 months. As a child, this constant change was exhausting and confusing. I'm not trying to criticize her choices, but it was difficult for me to adjust to new faces and personalities so frequently. It made me feel unstable and unsettled in my own home. 3 years ago, tragedy struck when my father died in an accident. From that moment on, I had to live with my mother full-time. With no more child support coming in, she had to shoulder all the financial responsibilities herself. It was during this time that I began to see her true nature. She revealed herself to be an unpleasant and downright horrid woman. She constantly belittled me, making snide remarks about how much it cost her to raise me, as if I was some unwanted burden. The resentment in her voice was unmistakable, and it cut me deeply. To avoid her wrath, I tried to stay out of her way as much as possible. I spent most of my time in my room or out of the house, just to keep the peace. But it's not like I could simply disappear to please her. I had needs, dreams, and responsibilities. I couldn't just stop existing. Over the years, I learned more about my mother's lifestyle. She frequently changed boyfriends, and went to great lengths to maintain a youthful appearance. She dressed stylishly, used expensive skincare products, and even lied about her age, claiming to be in her late 20s or early 30s when she was nearly 40. She seemed to be catfishing these men into relationships. All her boyfriends were young, wealthy men attracted to her supposed youth and beauty. But the relationships were superficial. They were with her for her looks, and she was with them for their money. Personally, I didn't approve of this lifestyle. It felt shallow and deceitful. However, I didn't feel it was my place to judge or complain. Realistically, working as a waitress wasn't going to afford her the luxurious lifestyle she desired. My primary concern was that there was food on the table and that my school tuition was paid on time. To gain some independence, I took on part-time jobs, hoping to rely less on her financially. A few days ago, everything came to a head. I made what I thought was a minor mistake, but it resulted in my mother kicking me out of the house. Her new boyfriend was visiting, and during our conversation, he casually asked which year I was in at school. Without thinking, I answered honestly that I was a junior. Immediately, I realized my error. My mother insisted that I tell her boyfriends I was still a freshman to make herself seem younger. Her boyfriend didn't seem to mind or even care, but after he left, my mother was livid. She accused me of trying to sabotage her relationship, and called me all sorts of hurtful names. The argument escalated, and she told me to get out. Not only did she kick me out, but she declared I was never allowed to return, and that I was on my own. I was shocked and devastated. How could she be so cruel over something so trivial? Thankfully, I wasn't completely alone. I have a best friend, who has been by my side since kindergarten. Desperate and with nowhere else to turn, I went to her house, intending to stay just one night. Her family welcomed me with open arms, and one night turned into an extended stay. They provided me with shelter, emotional support, and the stability I desperately needed. Because of them, I was able to continue attending school without interruption. I can't express how grateful I am for their kindness. While I was relieved to have a safe place to stay, I was seething with anger toward my mother. I resented her deeply. For years, nothing I did was ever good enough for her. I realized that she probably wanted to get rid of me all along. Having a teenage daughter didn't fit with her image of being young and attractive. My presence threatened her carefully crafted persona. I still have a youthful appearance, with a round face that makes it hard to guess my age, but that won't last forever. I'm also quite tall, thanks to my dad's genes, which might make people question her age. In her eyes, I was a liability. My accidental slip-up was just the excuse she needed to discard me. But she underestimated me. I knew something she had been desperately trying to keep hidden. Her previous boyfriend, the only one who lasted more than 5 months, had been getting serious with her. She lied to him about her age, but he seemed genuinely in love with her. He was kind to me, and I often wished I could warn him about her true nature. He was around 25 or 27, heir to a successful company, and incredibly wealthy. I suspected my mother planned to marry him, but they broke up abruptly. I didn't know why until I discovered her messages. We shared a laptop, and although I knew it was invasive, I often checked her messages. She treated her younger sister like a personal diary, sharing every detail of her life. They were both superficial and materialistic, so her sister encouraged her behavior. While reading their conversations, I learned that my mother had taken $10,000 from her ex-boyfriend. She told him I had been in a severe accident and needed surgery. In reality, she used the money to splurge on a new wardrobe and expensive makeup. She then avoided him for weeks, claiming she was caring for me. When he insisted on seeing me, she broke up with him, accusing him of being overwhelming. I was furious when I read this. Her ex-boyfriend was a good man, and she had manipulated and deceived him without remorse. I wanted to tell him the truth, but feared my mother would retaliate by kicking me out, a fear that had now become a reality. Now that I had nothing to lose, I decided to act. 2 days ago, I went to his house after school. I had evidence, screenshots of her messages, and knew his address from previous visits. He was surprised to see me but invited me in. I told him everything, showing him the proof. He thanked me quietly and said he needed time to think. I left feeling disappointed, thinking my efforts were in vain. But today, I received frantic calls from our neighbor. My mother's ex had shown up with the police, and she was arrested. My mother wanted me to help her, but I refused. This was the outcome I had hoped for, and I didn't feel any sympathy. Update 1 ***. My mother has been arrested, likely out on bail now. I haven't checked on her, I don't care anymore. My aunt tried to guilt-trip me, calling me ungrateful, and saying my dad would be ashamed of me. She barely knew my father, so her words didn't affect me. She accused me of betraying my mother over something petty, but I didn't see it that way. Kicking me out over a minor mistake wasn't petty. I don't know what she hopes to gain. They should focus on her legal case. I believe her ex is taking her to court, otherwise, he wouldn't have involved the police. I hope he does, and she faces the consequences of her actions. Some might think I'm terrible for wishing this on my own mother, but considering how she's treated me, I believe she deserves it. In hindsight, I can't believe I tolerated so much just to have a place to stay. In a way, I'm glad she kicked me out. My best friend's parents are considering adopting me, and I'm overjoyed. I've always seen my best friend as a sister, and this feels perfect. I hope my mother doesn't contest when I ask her to relinquish her parental rights. Update 2 ***. My mother is out on bail, and it seems her ex is suing her. She confronted me outside school, accusing me of being ungrateful and selfish. She demanded that I tell her ex that I fabricated the story, and that the screenshots were fake. She even suggested I take photos pretending to be injured to support her lies. I was shocked by her audacity. After she abandoned me, she now expected me to help her. I decided to be strategic. I agreed to help her only if she allowed my best friend's parents to adopt me and gave up her parental rights. She agreed without hesitation, seemingly happy to be rid of me. It hurt that she was so eager to discard me, but I had expected it. I'd always known she didn't want me. At least now, I could be part of a family that genuinely cared about me. My best friend's father, an excellent family lawyer, prepared the legal documents. I was hopeful the process would be smooth. Update 3 ***. Living with my best friend and her family feels like a dream. They've shown me what a loving family is supposed to be. My father always tried to make me feel loved, especially after difficult visits with my mother. Now, I feel that warmth again. I've been in contact with my mother, pretending I would help her, just to ensure she signs the adoption papers. My best friend supports my plan, reassuring me it will work. I've been anxious, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. Update 4 ***. My mother signed the papers, and she's no longer legally my parent. I'm thrilled. She tried to be friendly with my new family, but they didn't reciprocate. She asked again when I would speak to her ex. I told her soon, but I have no intention of doing so. I'm proud of how I handled the situation. She showed no remorse, happy to be free of me. It hurt, but I accepted that I couldn't change her. Now, I have a family that loves me. I look forward to a brighter future with them. Update 5 ***. I thought my story was over, but something unsettling happened. After blocking my mother, she began contacting me from unknown numbers and emails, pressuring me to fulfill my promise. I was afraid to tell my new parents, fearing their disappointment. One day, my mother showed up at school, and I had a severe anxiety attack. My best friend informed her parents, and they were supportive. We decided to file a restraining order against my mother. They reassured me that I did nothing wrong, and praised me for protecting myself. We're also seeking therapy for me to address my past trauma. I'm grateful for their support, and look forward to healing and embracing my new life. Story 2 ***. My ex-girlfriend abandoned our newborn daughter and disappeared. After 3 years, she wants back in my life. 6 years ago, my ex-girlfriend and I began a relationship that felt like a perfect match. From the very beginning, we connected deeply, like 2 peas in a pod. After 2.5 years together, she became pregnant. We had discussed having children and both wanted a family, but we hadn't planned on it happening so soon. We talked extensively, seeking advice from friends who were parents. Ultimately, we decided to embrace this unexpected journey. We agreed that no matter what happened between us, our child's well-being would always come first. Just before the lockdown in 2020, 3 weeks ahead of the due date, we welcomed a beautiful baby girl. We were both utterly captivated by her. Adjusting to parenthood was a big change, but our daughter was an angel, and we settled into our new roles quickly. Everything seemed perfect at first, but 3 months later, everything changed. One evening, while working late, I received a text from my mother. She said my girlfriend had dropped off our daughter with her to run some errands, but hadn't returned after 4 hours and wasn't answering her phone. I tried calling her repeatedly, but there was no response. I left work immediately, picked up my daughter, and went home to find a note from my girlfriend. She said she couldn't handle the stress of lockdown and the baby and needed time to clear her head. She asked me not to call her and said we would talk soon. Days turned into weeks, and there was no contact from her. Only her sister visited our daughter, but never mentioned my ex. Fast forward 3 years, and my ex-girlfriend started reaching out again. It began with liking photos of our daughter on Instagram and occasional comments. Then, last week, she texted me, saying she saw how well our daughter and I were doing and asked if we could meet. I was hesitant, but remembered our agreement that our daughter's well-being came first. I agreed to meet for coffee so she could see our girl, but had second thoughts. How could I forgive her for walking out on us? Update 1 ***. We met at a local cafe. I arrived early, trying to gather my thoughts. I hadn't planned on bringing our daughter, she was with a co-worker. My ex seemed disappointed but not surprised. We engaged in small talk before addressing the elephant in the room, her disappearance. She admitted she suffered from postpartum depression, and couldn't bear to show it in front of our daughter. She acknowledged that leaving was wrong, but wanted to focus on herself while getting therapy. I asked why it took her 3 years to return. She had only sent a text on our daughter's first birthday. She broke down, admitting she was scared of what I thought of her. While I could accept being left, I was furious she abandoned our daughter. Despite everything, she seemed to have grown over the years. We talked for over an hour. When I got up to leave, she asked where we stood. I told her I appreciated her efforts to change, but needed time to move on. As a gesture of goodwill, I showed her a video of our daughter, one of my favorites, where she's mimicking a cow's moo. Before leaving, I gave her my phone number so we could maintain proper contact. I agreed to send her some photos of our girl. I'm hopeful we can coexist and maintain a healthy friendship for our daughter's sake, but trust is hard to rebuild. Update 2 ***. A few weeks have passed, and progress has been made. At my ex's request, I accompanied her to a therapy session. Her therapist assured me she's made significant progress, but still has issues to work through, especially regarding her relationship with her parents. After the session, I stayed behind to ask the therapist about reintroducing our daughter to my ex. She recommended waiting for now and offered me a free session to discuss it further. On a positive note, our daughter started preschool 2 weeks ago and loves it. I sent my ex some photos to keep her involved. I have no intentions of rekindling our relationship, but am open to co-parenting if she proves she's committed. Raising a child alone has been challenging, but seeing my daughter happy makes it all worthwhile.